Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Today I am talking to you about the fabulous month of March, and I'm giving you a little bit of an astrological sort of psychic mix as to what I believe is going to happen during these days. And yes, of course, if you are interested in information that is for you specifically, I do have all signs available on Patreon. So these are like half an hour audios for every single sign, which matches for the sun, the moon, the stellium, and the ascendant, So if you like, have a look. They're in the caption section below. And yes, of course, I do have the almanac for the year available, so you get lots of information there. And of course, my Patreon has other stuff there as well. So what can I tell you about March? Firstly, let's start with the fact that traditionally, organically, for hundreds if not thousands of years, the year began in April sometimes in March, for many peoples in the world. Then we do have a certain type of crisis of power, and we do have December being the last month. That happened only in 1775 or 1755, something like that. So it happened in the 1700s. We have only recently started to see the year beginning in Jan. And this really messes with my mind still, because I remember, there were always celebrations for New Year's. There's always been, Christmas time or other things. And that really, really made me feel, since I was a child, that the year began absolutely smack bang on the 1st of January. December, the 10th month, November, the 9th, October, like octagon, 8, not 10, September, 7. It's kind of obvious these months have been put this way ages ago, and of course some may even argue there are 13 months, not 12. So what is the use of astrology if there are not 12 signs, there are 13 signs? Well, you got to be psychic as well, so that's the thing. And with all due respect to modern study of astrology, there are not just 13 signs, there are more. Whoa, so how can you get it right? Well, you have to feel it. It's a special practice. It's a special time spending, time giving, telling the story of the sky. It comes from multiple places at once. Partially it comes from source, and partially it comes from physical intelligence or biological intelligence. And for some reason, I also feel that it also comes from another space, So that's how I've done it for all these years. Let's look at your timeline for March. So, keeping in mind that we are at the end and the beginning, we are in the last sign of Pisces by Western astrology, and we are heading towards the first sign of Aries. To explain this to you very simply, Pisces is the dying man. Pisces is the person on their deathbed, or a person just about to go into another world. In some cases, you may imagine Pisces is kind of like the womb, in which the baby doesn't even know that it exists yet. So together with all of that which is happening today, it's really, really stabilizing and normal just to recognize we're going through the last few phases. And the dream weaving that happens sometimes, if you can imagine, only after the person passes. So this landscape or dreamscape that one gets to enjoy or experience before and after life, this other dimension is exactly what I'm talking about. So it's neither here nor there. Let things dissolve. It is amazing to let also things be stable, which is an oxymoron because we do have Saturn and Pisces. But in another way, how you can say is stabilize only the practical things or the normal things you need. It is nice to bear with the minimum. It's nice to have absolutely no issue by allowing simplicity be king. So in private lives and group activities, anywhere that you go, simplify it and leave the rest behind. Depression comes from overcomplicating things and having a lot to face later, having a lot to talk about, having a lot to think about, having a lot to do, having to have a lot of magic, having to have a lot of change in your life to be able to afford where you thought you would be and how far you thought you would come. So basically, let's try to clean up our methods to some degree. We have to clean up our lives. We have to clean up our bodies. It is quite okay that some things were not done. But this kind of psychosis, this is the 3rd month of the year, I got to get this done, I got to get this done. You can't sometimes get it done. Pisces is kind of a tide that will take you backwards. It's kind of like a quicksand sometimes. It's kind of like the ocean, with the waves taking you and dragging you out to sea. So this kind of nice, simple motion is a way that the body cleans itself perfectly and simply during these days. The mind might simply forget stuff. Things may not be available. Things may not be done. If you've ever been through a ghost town, like you're driving somewhere from point A to point B and you're stranded in a ghost town, this is exactly what Pisces is looking to me this month around. It's kind of nowhere to be seen, and it's kind of like a little odd. It's almost like slightly eerie, but it's also very happy and it's dreamlike and it's still living. It's very vivid. It is just not where you thought it would be. Things are not how you thought they would be. Things are not what you thought they would be. So by concentrating on the most simple practical things, like your health, like your work, like the simple basic tools, like the simple basic outline of a day, simplicity is going to save you guys. But unfortunately, what we have going on also in the sky is willfulness and emotions and wishing for miracles. We've got Venus, Mars conjunction, Pluto behind the sun. We've got so many of us wishing for things that have never happened, or that may never ever hold place in our life. We sometimes want things from the past, or we want things to happen backwards, or we imagine things are possible that are not possible. So here we go with the twin flame ideas, and like, oh, I was so young and pretty, and I should have done that when I was able, and I shouldn't have done that. So it's exactly like the mind of a person on their deathbed. I should have, would have, could have. And it could be very, very decayed. Some things could be just to no avail. So to face responsibility at the same time is a must. We definitely do have Saturn very deeply lodged in Pisces. It's not just like, oh, I wish this happened in my life and I wish the fairies would take me away. When are the angels coming? When am I going to hear the trumpets? When am I going to see the light? It's not like this kind of thing. It's not about being saved. And there is a feeling, usually always to Pisces, like, save me, help me. I don't know how come. I don't know where the world starts or where it ends. I don't know where we are. Like, where are we even? Like, I'm so confused and conflicted. So we don't want this to become the main storyline. The picture is changed very quickly this year in general. It's very, very hard to know where the heck things were all this time. It's hard to see suddenly, like, signs of aging, for example. It is hardcore to see suddenly you've lost your will, or you've lost something in your life. It's weird how things get lost or stolen or anything like that. Try not to buy anything. Not everybody needs to listen to me, but not everybody gets a good bargain during these times. It is just so healthy to just be pure and true. Try to get close to center and look at the positives and the obvious outcomes of your life. It is going to save you a lot of time and money. Here I got this, here I got this, here I got this, here I got this. It's a very, very simple timeline. Like how you go about your day, what you do, what you wear. It's good to get back to functionality. I'm seeing a lot of people are like being dancing priests. I'm seeing a lot of dress up and kind of showing up at random places, for example, wearing very, very unusual, unique clothes and showing up at some kind of like very unique club, being seen, being wanting something velvety to happen to you. There are certain people, there's also a culture, there's probably cultures that want something to happen that is just so sweet and out of time. It's like, I want to be in a mystical garden, I want to talk to the gnomes. There are definitely people that are going to be able to even do that or handle it. But I mean, here I am, maybe a little back to front for some, but you know, I'll help you here. If you don't have simple things covered, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna be? And I know that there are sometimes cultures that take place, especially during a certain part of human evolution or human shifts, like giant human shifts in the world, global shifts, that come up and they say, I don't trust any of you. I don't believe in any of this. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to pay my bills. I don't want to be this. I want to be an imaginary person. So here's, like, you know, the art and the hippie movements. And I talk about art a lot recently and how that might destroy you, basically. Yeah, drugs, art, debauchery, sexuality, imagination. Sorry. Yeah, we do have Saturn and Pisces there. All of that young, fun stuff, sugar, additives, addictions, entertainment, games, also telling fibs or being imaginary may destroy some people. So maybe you live in a place, maybe it's San Francisco, somewhere in California, or even other parts, you know, Philadelphia, where you're driving down the street and you're seeing people just sitting in tents, you know, high of their tree. That's something that I've seen on social media recently. Maybe that's going on with you. Maybe there are lots of tourists, or maybe there are lots of strange people, you know, derelict people. It's very likely that that's going to be very, very seen. People going to the streets, people deciding overnight that they're shamans. People having very strong surreal experiences, designing a life that is based on an imaginary version of themselves. And I see that sometimes there's certain tribes and cultures that have also instilled that. The idea of having fun in your life always, the idea of always being beautiful, the idea of always being breathtaking, the idea of having a very uneconomical spending spree, or for example having fantasy as the main aspect of your life, could be very unclear and could be good only for a minute. Like, some of it is so grey and dull. A night on the town or a beautiful day at the cinema is absolutely okay for certain people in certain frontiers of life. For example, they're working day in, day out. To put some magic and some color and some culture into their life would be a breathtaking experience, but only just a little bit. Only just a little bit. Certain people do not want to show up for other people. They don't want to do anything. And it's really obvious. Please stay safe. You don't need to judge anybody. Judgment and vulgarity is a big part of Dragon. Huge. You have to see where people are maybe boring also, and they don't really get to do what they want, and they keep on trying to push themselves into a more and more compact and more degraded reality. That could also be done during a month like this. But then there are certainties, okay? And we have to face facts. To live in this environment, to live on this side of the planet, to be still in the realm of money and politics and social constructs, you have to be very well equipped. So we're talking about equipment. We're talking about having a house without a leaking roof, okay, with a good sturdy roof. We're talking about good foundations. Even though Pisces is all very, very much in a dream, try to still get strong. To be able to be in a certain terrain, you have to have certain connection. If you want to make this job your job, you have to have certain business sense. Maybe waking up earlier, maybe doing things as the day goes by, being very efficient, maybe not too much, in your own way, is going to try and help you. If there is a simplicity in a person, that is seen, and we love it during this time. For example, you see a drunk on the street, but he's not telling you that he's the king of the world. He's telling you, look, like, give me some money, I'm sad, or I'm cold, or I'm on the street. I'm actually recognizing that I have something wrong going on. Like, this person says, I have a problem, you know, and they're not telling you that they're the king of the world. This could be very, very real. So for certain individuals, it's going to be time and time again a saving grace from admitting their wrongs and their sinfulness, also from admitting their past traumas and mistakes. For example, if a person has been abused and they fully came out, okay, that can also be very real, but try not to think about this too much. Okay, yeah, put this out there as well. It is also lucky for us to say, if we've been abandoned, if we've been hard done, if somebody took something from us or somebody has tricked us, it is caring because it is real and it is honest. But just don't make it a big deal. Don't make it a theater play, because you'll never get rid of it. And yeah, sometimes it's about facts and factual thinking patterns. It is about a certainty. It's about having a certain ongoing process. It is about being meek and quiet. It's about a humbling worldview. Like, say, if I didn't do this, I don't know where I'd be. If I didn't work out, I don't know where I'd be. Or if I didn't eat good, I don't know where I'd be. If I didn't feel good, if I wasn't respectful, I don't know where I would be. So even behind every phenomenal person that we see on TV and that we read about in books is a certain consciousness that helps the body structure itself. You know, there is something that helps us grow, something that helps us grieve and feel and then move on. You know, we don't have to have these patterns come back in and out. And I do understand a lot about pattern thinking behavior. Also with Mercury going through Pisces is gonna be hard, you guys. It's gonna be hard to take you out of there if it's already yours, to the point where it's become one of the tools in your toolkit. For example, if you're feeling very burdened, if you're feeling very sleepy, if you're feeling very deep, if you're feeling a phenomenal need to cry constantly, you have incredible rage or disempowerment, and if you are doing this almost as a therapy, which I've also done in my life, so I cannot judge you. I would not judge either way. There is kind of a need to get this talking, get this walking, and make sure it has a simpler plan. For example, you have a personality trait that keeps on judging, or talking, or making sense of nothing. Place it close. Try to burn it out. Try to get rid of it, actually. But if it's not, it's not. There are certain types of people, cultures, and sometimes it could be spiritual possession of just wanting something you don't really want anymore, but still want it. For example, lust, sexuality, pornography, obsession with certain details, obsession with collectomania, wanting certain things, bric-a-brac and clutter. I did say definitely February was a great month to shine that light, because it was a masculine sign of Aquarius. You could have just burnt it all out and said no, you know, and you could have very easily just put stuff on the side of the road, and it was very easy to be discerning and just to be very practical about your needs. And Pisces, it is not that easy. But if you get it all together and you look at it as a universe, like you look at your life, you look at how your body works, you look at your soul, you look at things as a consciousness, is kind of like a planet. You might get to see something you haven't seen before. So making sense of stuff, making new sequences, accidental miracles, dropping something and it actually being better after you dropped it, losing something and it's being better after you lose it, doing things with somebody who really cares. Also, people that are nurses, doctors, and specialists are stepping up now. Having a specialist amongst your midst, having a person that would be quite fine and supervising and watching you or seeing you through. Long-term specialists, long-term arrangements with a nurse or a doctor or some kind of person that can help. Also long-term employment. If you were looking for jobs, or a job that would be just like a job of a lifetime, I'm not telling you that you're necessarily going to get those high-rise, high-rocketing jobs unless you have certain karma. There is a definite chance of being put into a certain sequence with people where you are wanted and loved, and people are very loyal. And also this might be happening in many people's lives in a different way. Maybe you are more mature than you thought. We are talking Saturn, more mature. And maybe you thought, oh, I was just this, but I was that. Maybe you are just a waitress at a bar. But when you think about it, you're a minder and you're kind of a chaperone and you're helping people, you know, organize, or you're helping people experience things safely. Even though it looked for a while that you were just a waitress, maybe you were more of like a bouncer or a security person. Maybe you had your soul so together and tight in such a chaotic environment. You made it very real as to what people were getting from you and what they could count on. Maybe you've always been the friendliest, happiest, and most caring person, and you've become like a divine light in a very chaotic nocturnal experience, for example, environment. So that's also very likely. You thought you were this, you are that. You thought you were a kid, and now it turns out that you are more than an adult. But how we get chosen, how we get picked, what is searching for you? What kind of body of people are looking for your gift or for your adjustments? What type of people are looking for your expertise? What sort of soul would see you for who you are and not who you were or could have been, as a very definite chance giver, but it's not to be pushed at and it's not to be chosen. Like, you cannot tell somebody else to give you that or this. I want this, I want that, this is what. They are not maybe even going to know. They are not going to be able to withstand you if you give them a push. Saturn is very, very harsh this month. If you push a person into payment, if you push a person into making something for you, if you push their buttons, if you really click into them and try to get pushy, it's not going to be helpful. It's a very karmic time with people. We have a stellium in Aquarius. It's very timed also. If somebody is meant to give you a prize, you will get that prize and put it somewhere safe. Some people are selling or vending heirlooms during this time. Certain people have absolute power, wisdom, or speech. Some people have an exact place of dominance or an exact sense of representation. Certain people have found themselves and they made an absolute pact with their lifetime. In certain cases, they are very great, demises, and very great things being molded or being strengthened by this tide of Pisces. So there's going to be people making sure that things work out. There's going to be maybe protectors or job givers or people on the higher plane, higher realms, that are going to be so good, too good to be true. North Node conjunct Chiron also coming up in April. So there is definitely going to be a realness, and it's going to be no doubt, and there is a wholesome, thoroughbred feeling to quite a lot of this. It is just whether or not you're capable of seeing the facts or seeing the truth. In certain cases, the facts might be so surprising that you've actually won much more than you can imagine. In other cases, you are so mature and so far out of your mind, you will not be able to put this together, you know. So I kind of guess that in certain cases, health and the logic of the body might start to come forth. If you were always kind of, hereditary diseases, if you were always kind of broken, this might come back. If you've had a certain spectrum of issues or illnesses in your body for a long time, this might start to come back. Or if you've been born to a certain type of situation where it was very hard since you were born, this can also come back. So we have to somehow breathe through it, and we have to end it. For example, a very, very bad back, or a very, very bad, like rotten tooth, or very, 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 very unhappy results. They can then later on mean something to you differently. If you sometimes pray it off, wash it off, it's actually really nice to get cooking, get changing. It's sort of like changing, for example, skin tissues. It's like changing the tissue of the skin, changing the backbone of your beliefs, changing. And sometimes it is about risk, and it is about mind, and sometimes you hop from one plane to another. Pisces is going to throw things out of kilter sometimes. It's like, you know, when you're driving and you're driving quite smooth, and then like the whole car kind of like bounces, you know. Sometimes that will also be, there's going to be turbulence, basically. That is going to be sometimes in divine time. So it's also very hard to understand what is going on sometimes. It's hard to realize how things actually are. If you go into the very tissues of your body, if you go into the very tissues of your being, it's hard. I'm not telling you to unpack everything, because it can be sometimes destructive. And if we actually face facts, what is going on, if we actually face who we are with, if we actually face sometimes certain very, very, very big truth, it would be hard. It would be harsh. We would start crying. Some people cannot believe it. And in certain cases, it is too good to be true. In certain cases, it is so good that you had no idea how chosen and how very much special you were. But there is no point of undressing sometimes the body. There is no real point of pushing it over the edge. Some of the time, the way that it is, or just the way that it's been, it will complete itself. And also letting certain things fade away, allowing things to be dead, allowing things to die, allowing things not to be open and no longer available, letting things be no longer part of the picture, saying goodbye, and also believing that it's worth it to be out of there. It is worth it. You know, it is worth it. If you had, for example, a time where somebody kicked you out, or you had to leave a situation, or it was no longer available, it's definitely okay. Time deals things in a different way during this Pisces season. It's not just like, hey, you know, have a good day, try this, try that, you know, do this, do that. It's not about twisting and turning. Some of the time, as I said, it is about basics. It's about basic logic. It's about not dislodging yourself from the path and from the root system that you're already on. It's careful timing. But then there are very interesting and very unique situations, conversations, experiences, and evolutions that could potentially only take place now. You know, so suddenly, you know, all of a sudden, that's it, that's the last of it. Or like, now you have it. Then there you have it, and there you have it. That's kind of how it is. And this could be incredible, like being crowned the prince or the princess of the neighborhood, or like being given an incredible amount of money, or being signed to a very, very healthy, delicious job, or will, being given so much. And then also on the other side, this could be a crisis, but to the point where you don't scream, yell, or fear it anymore. That's it, that's done. We can't do anything now. We cannot do anything now. This is always going to be, with any human being, this is not about negativity, it's just about reality. Sometimes you cannot do any more than you've done. There are only so many hours in a day. We all have a limit. And I know that there is like a culture of being young, fresh and free and live forever. There are limits. There is a limit to the human body. There is definitely some limit to certain things, like some organs are limited, you know, some tissues are limited, and sometimes there's just a limit for now, but later on it might not be. And I'm not telling you to necessarily be a martyr, or, you know, be in any kind of denial also. It's just very good to come to a certain strength later on as the month progresses, come what may. And for some people it is about hope, it's about healing power. For certain people it's about wisdom. Some people will use certain tactics, certain ongoing behavior, certain habits to get themselves strong and feeling good. And a lot of us are going to have to kind of experience a death. Something is going to have to die, or something has to be amiss. Maybe certain people will be out of the story, or we will ourselves have to go somewhere different, and we'll have a missing. Maybe it's like, I don't know what happened to my bag, or I have no idea what's going on here. To be able to, in a sense, die and then relive, you know. So it's not just about death like the ego death. It's not just about death of a path, although it could also be death of a human. It's more like the dying of a previous way of life. Maybe it could be like saying goodbye to a previous relationship. It may be, in a sense, going from one state to another, or one feeling of who you are to another. But then inevitably it takes you back to where you were. If you can imagine, if there was a more perfect place where you were. Or it can readdress you, reconnect you, revive you, resurface you, and make you clear on this new, better and brighter path. In a certain way, going backwards is an okay thing. And quite a lot of this year, quite a lot of, actually not just this year, quite a lot of us do have it, you know. So it's like, for example, your ancestors were the ones that have always had your back. Like, you went out there looking for treasure and eventually came back to your family tree. Nothing wrong with that. For example, you were already granted a wish. It's just that you didn't know it. Or something was already in the works, or you've done something. This is really good for artists to know, or designers. You've done something that's already been your iconic deed. Like, say you've already written that song, or you've already painted that picture. And some of it is not necessarily about shunning the past and giving, and confusing yourself to be able to evolve and imagine yourself as something different or somebody new. It is not about hyperactivity anymore. Some of it is done, and this is heavy, but it's also very healthy. I cannot go past this. For example, on a sweeter side, love can be like that. For example, when you go around in circles, you make lots of friends, you dated maybe, I don't know, 1 million people, and then there was always going to be that one guy or that one girl that just took your breath away. And no matter how much you search for it, you look around, you know, no matter how much videos you watch on dating or love, no matter how good you get in bed, or how many people you've seen, or how many people you experimented with, there is nothing in it. There is nobody there. It's empty, because it's already been somebody. And that one person, maybe, or maximum, I know, 2 or 3 people sometimes, for some people, very rare, but can be, is it. You've already got it, and there is no point of running away anymore. This can also be about jobs. This could be about places that you've ever lived. Sometimes about things that you've ever said or things that you've ever done. Experimentation stops here, basically. So I'm not telling you necessarily that it is dead or dying or like very robust. It is kind of like the end of a lifetime. You know, it's like writing an obituary. I'm sorry if this sounds very dark. In a sense, it is not about good for you methods. It's not about running out of time or running out of resources to get something done. Is just seeing, and some of it is as good as it gets. This is where I see the most potent positivity during this month. About the middle, 16th or so of the month, you'll see it. This is as good as it gets. Or this was the time that I really knew who I was. Or this has been the happiest time of my life. Or the most that I've ever gotten for what I did was this. Or this is it. That's it. And how not to feel pain and fear and shame is just to know that a story is over. And that's nice that it is like a movie has to come to an end. It cannot be an endless film. You cannot do it over and over again. Leave it alone, release it. So that is that. Well, this is it. This is it. And it's like the final product. It's not just about a product. It's like the finished piece and the final outcome amongst many. So in context of your lifetime, in context of maybe many people in your life, in context of many possibilities, in context of many experiences, the context of many lives, In a lifetime, in a lifetime, in a lifetime, that was it. So sometimes people go searching. So what I say a lot in my audios as well for this month on Patreon is don't go chasing waterfalls. What is it? Listen to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. It's kind of going on that way. It's definitely going that way. You don't need to go further. It's like putting a nail in the wall. There comes a point you don't need to bang the hammer any longer. Completion is not an evil, scary, like painful thing. Completion is just completion. If you are a sculptor, for example, how do you know the piece is done? You know it's reached completion. That's a natural feeling. It's done. It's not like it's done. The story's done. It's not about feeling hateful or shameful, because things are maybe even falling apart if you do them too much. Things can fall apart if you do it too much. Like something can be shameful, harmful, or painful if you do it to death, as they say, if you do it too much. You just basically have to see when things are there. You have to face yourself through fact. So life is not just a party. Life is not just going around and around and around and around and around and around. And distractions and fast cars and alcohol and caffeine and whatever. Is going to have to be beautiful at some point. No. It's got to be safe. You know, like a good, wholesome, well-structured place. Like a well-finished and delivered product. Like a good quality piece of art, or a very good, totally completed piece of, I don't know, clothing, or like a total recipe. A total. So this is the positive. Maybe if I just change the wording a little bit. Maybe if I change the wording a little bit, it'll sound good. It's like the totality. It's like a total. This is a complete package. This is the best I've ever felt, or this is the best it's ever been. This is a total world. It's a completion. Let's give it a round of applause. And if you really, really like the positive here, or the innocent, give yourself a gold star, or the smiley face sticker. It's like about the golden trophy. Giving yourself trophies, seeing the best of the best and sometimes the worst of the worst, and it's really, 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 really like, I don't want to know, I don't want to know, I don't want to know, I don't want to heal it. I'm scared of limitation. We are fearful in the age that we live now of limitation. With this Pluto also being first degrees of Aquarius, limits. Learning about things, having a certain tact and meter, like fine art, not like experimental art, fine classical like art, like how do you make this look like a photograph? It's like photorealism. There is a rule book. Oh no, not rules. Rules for me? No. There is a simplicity, like what makes a harmony. What is B minor? What is C major? What are the different tonalities? No, I want to just whatever, So this is about being uneducated. Saturn, education as well to a degree, structure. If we don't feel good enough sometimes, it is because we don't know enough. It is because we are not educated enough. We cannot see or face facts because we are not sometimes healthy enough. We don't have enough resources, or we are not well enough to face facts. So basically here it's about using your time carefully. And if you are a person who's weak, and you are weak, Dragon Year is all about strength and might. It's all about strength. If you're weaker than most, you have to deliver yourself from these certain burdens. Maybe they're social, societal burdens, maybe they're cultural burdens, maybe they're health things. I don't know. To be able to handle things, you have to be strong. You have to be smart. To go out there and be able to face the day, you got to have strength. And that other person or this other person is not going to maybe give you what you want or what you wish for unless they are so tough and tall. They can lift you with one hand, they can lift you with one finger, you know. And it won't maybe be about this person or anybody else, but you will need a hero. If you are a damsel in distress, if you're looking for daddy to help you, if you're looking for mommy, if you've been waiting for someone else to lift you and to get you strong or promise you those fine things, be very careful, because Saturn can be mean. If you have a person that constantly pays for you, if you have people that constantly support you as if you're a baby, obviously you need to grow up. Obviously, it's the dragon year, it's the time of the warrior. If you don't have it in you to walk on your own, if you don't have it in you to put your life together in perspective alone, you don't need that which you're doing. Maybe you're spending time doing nothing, maybe you're spending time in bed, maybe you're lazy, which is not sure. What are you going to do if you cannot offer anything? If you don't offer anything to other people, if your home is not connected to anything, if you are messy, or if you are distrustful, or if you don't feel like anybody could trust you, it's hardcore. So it is about coming back to respect and self-respect after all, you know. So maybe that's not for you, but it's important to see if it is not for you, you know. And then yeah, we have Aries. So we have new moon in Aries pretty quick as well. It's going to be a total quick eclipse of the heart. It's going to be a total quick realization. We're going to have many quick, obvious realizations. Not many people are ready for it, but there's going to be a wake-up call. There's going to be waves, and people are going to suddenly sell, and buy. There's going to be a very quick change of hands. It is very easy to be given and to be taking as well. It is very, very easy to give somebody something as well. It is very easy to give away something. Hand-me-downs are very obvious. If you just don't want that stinky old blanket and you just want to buy yourself a new one, kudos to you. It could be very, very quick during Aries, quick turnaround, a quick change. I don't want that old kettle, I want to buy a new kettle. I don't want that old idea, I want that new idea. Very suddenly we're going to have a flood of photographs on Instagram, a flood of people talking and yelling and screaming, showing off their muscles and their yoga bodies. So it's always going to be about the new and the robustness, spanking brand new things during Aries anyway. But this particular season of Aries is going to be hard core. Things are going to get real, things are going to get sparkly, like there's like latex and glitter and people are just all over the place being Miss Universe or Mr. Universe. It's a very, very deep though and phenomenalizing. People are going to get intense and extreme. Everybody wants something out of each other. You don't just have a moment together, you're not just like having a cup of tea together, okay? It's never going to be just okay. It's going to be a very big deal as to what somebody else might be making of you or something, you know, that is happening to you. It's so juicy and it's so vast and fast-paced and crazy and melancholic and obsessive compulsive and angry and sexual and just anything. By the end of the month is going to be just like a flurry. It's like there is a word, bamboozling. It's going to be a bamboozling time. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that stuff quiet for now. I feel that the preparation for Pisces time is done, and maybe if you guys have something to say, have a say. Have a look at my caption section below also. And yes, I will eventually meet you here. And I will talk about the moons and also the equinox that is going to be happening and the start of the year in Aries. But I will be a little bit more prepared for that vibrationally. So in the coming days or in the coming weeks, I will create a video especially for that change of tides and about what to expect. But because it's just such a big topic, I'm going to leave it for another time. Thank you very much. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time.